But for collectors and coin experts, the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just any coin. It's a rare treasure, a tiny piece of metal with a story so remarkable that it has shaken the coin collecting world to its core. And today, we're diving deep into the secrets, errors, and jaw-dropping values of this extraordinary penny. The year 1991 might not immediately ring bells for most Americans. We think of it as a time before smartphones dominated our lives, when pocket change was more than just a habit, it was everyday currency. And within that everyday change, hidden in the vast millions of pennies minted that year, there exists a coin so rare, so anomalous, that it has become the holy grail for collectors. The key? The absence of a mint mark. You see, in 1991, pennies were produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The Philadelphia coins typically carried no mint mark, while Denver coins were marked with a small d. Most coins were exactly what they appeared to be: common, circulated, and of little interest to serious collectors. But a tiny number of 1991 pennies, struck at Philadelphia, slipped through the minting process with subtle errors. These errors, sometimes as minor as a double die impression or an off-center strike, instantly elevate a coin from everyday currency to a collector's dream. These aren't idle questions for collectors, they are very real possibilities. And the story gets even more fascinating when you understand how rare these errors are. Experts estimate that only a handful of 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cents with the most significant errors exist today. Some reports suggest fewer than 50 examples have been documented, and only a fraction of those are in top, pristine condition. After all, we see old pennies every day. The answer lies in a combination of scarcity, historical significance, and those subtle minting anomalies that catch a collector's eye. The most coveted versions of this penny exhibit errors like die doubling, which creates a shadowed or doubled appearance on Lincoln's profile or the lettering. Some coins even show die cracks or off-center strikes, anomalies that are incredibly rare. These mistakes, rather than devaluing the coin, make it more desirable and exponentially more valuable. A regular circulated 1991 penny is worth exactly 1 cent. But a pristine, error-free no-mint mark penny in top condition? That same coin could fetch anywhere from $1 million to a staggering $2.4 million in today's collector market. Yes, you heard that right, millions of dollars for a coin that most of us treat as loose change. Imagine what that could do for your life. One coin, sitting quietly in your collection, could suddenly turn into a fortune. And collectors aren't just dreaming about it, they are paying top dollar. Auction records show multiple sales reaching into the millions, each transaction leaving the coin world buzzing with disbelief and awe. Here's where it gets even more intriguing. The rarity of these pennies isn't just about the errors, they're also about survival. Many of these coins were never intended to be collectibles. Most were used in everyday transactions, jostling through pockets, purses, and cash registers. And in the decades since 1991, countless pennies have been lost, melted down, or damaged beyond recognition. That makes the few remaining examples, especially those in near-perfect mint condition, almost priceless. Each coin that survives is not just rare, it's a survivor, a testament to history, and a tangible connection to the past. Now, let's talk about the thrill of discovery. Picture a family member handing you a jar of old coins. You sift through them, one by one, until a small copper disc catches your eye. Something about it seems off. Maybe the detail is sharper, the lines crisper, or perhaps there's a faint doubling on the letters. Could it be the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cent? Suddenly, your heart races, your palms sweat, and you realize that in your hands may be a coin worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. That's the power of rarity, and the magic of the 1991 penny. Collectors often describe moments like this as surreal. Some have stumbled upon these coins in the most mundane places, pockets, drawers, or jars of mixed coins. Others inherit them without even knowing the value until a savvy collector or professional grader identifies the anomaly. And here's the kicker: many of these coins, once sold, have shattered expectations at auction. One example sold privately for over $2 million, and it's believed that even higher values are possible for coins in flawless, top-graded condition. But the story doesn't stop at numbers. The 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent is also a narrative of human ambition, curiosity, and the thrill of the hunt. Imagine walking into a coin shop, scanning shelves of ordinary pennies, and then, like a lightning bolt, you spot it. The coin that collectors dream about. That's the adrenaline, the excitement, and yes, the life-changing potential of this rare find. And it's this blend of history, error, and scarcity that makes this penny more than just metal. It's a legend in the numismatic world. You might be wondering, how can one tell a genuine 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent from a regular penny? It's not easy, and this is where expertise comes into play. Experts use magnification tools to examine die markings, letter doubling, and strike quality. Even the tiniest imperfection can signal a coin's rarity. And with coins valued in the millions, authenticity is everything. There's no room for guesswork or approximation. Each penny must be meticulously graded and verified, often by leading numismatic authorities, before it reaches the auction block or private sale. Now, let's take a moment to consider the psychological allure of rare coins. Why do millions of people obsess over pennies, dimes, and nickels when most could be worth just a few cents? The answer is simple: hope. The hope that you might stumble upon something extraordinary, something that turns your ordinary world into one of wealth and opportunity. The 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent embodies that hope. It's tangible proof that fortune can appear in the most unexpected places. And for those willing to search, study, and persist, it's an invitation to become part of a story far larger than themselves, a story of discovery, history, and unbelievable reward. There are only a few dozen of these coins in existence, each with its own journey, its own story. Some were kept in pristine condition from the moment they were struck, tucked away in protective sleeves or coin holders. Others survived decades in circulation, emerging as if by miracle, bearing the marks of time but still holding immense value. Each coin sold sets a new benchmark, a new level of aspiration for collectors worldwide. And each sale sends ripples of excitement through the coin collecting community, reinforcing the legend of the 1991 penny. Here's a question for you: what if the coin sitting unnoticed in your jar of pennies is one of these rare survivors? What if your everyday change contains the key to a fortune that could reshape your life? The truth is, it's possible. And the fact that so few people recognize the signs makes the opportunity even more tantalizing. Collectors who understand the subtle cues, the way the letters double, the slight misalignment of the strike, the clarity of Lincoln's profile, can turn an ordinary moment into extraordinary fortune. As we reach the climax of this story, the 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent emerges not just as a coin, but as a symbol. A symbol of vigilance, of curiosity, and of the extraordinary hiding within the ordinary. It reminds us that sometimes, the greatest treasures are not in gold or gemstones, but in the small, overlooked objects around us. And it teaches a timeless lesson: fortune favors the observant, the persistent, and those who dare to look closer. We're diving into one of the most astonishing and secretive coins in modern U.S. history, the 1990 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent. A coin so seemingly common, yet so rare, it has stunned collectors and set the coin world on fire. Could the penny in your drawer be your ticket to unimaginable wealth? Let's find out. The year 1990 doesn't immediately scream rarity. In fact, Lincoln cents from this period were minted in the hundreds of millions. Yet, hidden among the ordinary, a small number of 1990 no-mint Mark pennies emerged with dramatic, eye-popping errors that have turned the numismatic world upside down. Errors that make them not just collectibles but objects of obsession. One mistake, one imperfection, has the power to transform a humble 1-cent piece into a coin worth as much as $2.5 million in top condition. It starts with the concept of a no-mint Mark coin. The P for Philadelphia, the D for Denver, and the S for San Francisco are usually present on modern coins, identifying where the coin was struck. But every so often, a coin emerges with no mint mark at all where it should have one, a subtle anomaly that immediately raises eyebrows among experts. On the 1990 Lincoln cent, these missing mint marks are not just rare, they are extraordinarily rare. Only a handful have ever been documented in pristine condition, the kind of condition that collectors dream about but rarely find. But the intrigue doesn't stop there. The 1990 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent has several hidden errors that can make even seasoned collectors do a double take. Some of these errors are what we call die cracks, tiny fractures in the coin's die that leave raised lines across the penny's surface. Others are the infamous off-center strikes, where the design is shifted slightly, creating an odd, sometimes almost eerie visual effect. And then there's the most coveted anomaly of all, doubled dies. A double die occurs when the coin is struck twice, slightly misaligned, leaving a ghostly duplication of the design, an effect that instantly makes the coin a rare gem. This is where the story gets truly astonishing. Collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums for the perfect specimen. In fact, the reported market sales for the 1990 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent have reached as high as $2.5 million for coins in top, uncirculated condition. That's not a typo. Millions of dollars for a penny. And it's not just the value itself that's shocking, it's the speed with which these coins disappear once they surface. As soon as a coin like this is authenticated, it practically vanishes into private collections and auctions, sometimes changing hands multiple times before the public even knows it exists. It's the combination of scarcity, historical intrigue, and the thrill of discovery. Imagine being the person who uncovers one of these coins in a jar of change at the bottom of a drawer. That coin isn't just currency, it's a key to wealth, a piece of history, and a symbol of sheer luck and timing. The idea that your pocket change could suddenly become life-changing money is enough to make any collector's pulse race. And there's more to the story. Not all 1990 no-mint Mark pennies are created equal. Experts emphasize that condition is everything. A coin that has been handled, scratched, or circulated loses the majority of its value. The ones that command millions are flawless, preserved in near-perfect mint state. Every detail, from the sharpness of Lincoln's profile to the clarity of the wheat ears on the reverse, must be pristine. It's almost as if the coin itself has been frozen in time, untouched since it left the mint decades ago. Even seasoned collectors have been caught off guard by the market for these coins. Auctions often see bidding wars erupting over a single penny. One coin that surfaced recently, graded in top condition, sparked a frenzy that ended with a staggering $2.1 million sale. That's more than the price of some luxury cars, more than the cost of a house in many parts of the country. And yet, to collectors, it was worth every cent. The excitement is palpable, the stakes are high, and the race to find these coins is relentless. Many of these coins go unnoticed. They are hiding in plain sight, in old collections, in jars of loose change, in forgotten drawers. Ordinary people have stumbled across them without ever realizing their worth. And sometimes, these discoveries are serendipitous. A retired teacher cleaning out her attic, a coin collector going through decades-old sets, even a teenager sorting through pocket change, anyone could be holding a 1990 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent worth a fortune. The idea that wealth could be lying dormant in your home is both thrilling and terrifying. The tension escalates when you consider the challenges of authentication. These coins are not just valuable, they're vulnerable to forgeries. Counterfeiters know the demand and try to replicate the missing mint mark or double die errors. That's why professional grading and certification are crucial. Experts meticulously examine every detail, from the depth of the strike to microscopic anomalies, to ensure the coin is genuine. Only then can it be valued at its true worth, sometimes reaching that $2.5 million peak that seems almost surreal. And yet, despite the staggering sums, there's a story of accessibility. You don't need to be a billionaire or a professional collector to stumble across a coin like this. Every coin in circulation is a potential treasure. It only takes one glance, one moment of curiosity, to transform a simple penny into an object of immense fortune. What if you are holding it right now, without even realizing it? That thought alone has fueled countless people to examine their coins with new eyes, looking for anomalies, tiny errors, and the subtle imperfections that hint at hidden value. This is where the suspense truly builds. Consider the last reported auction of a 1990 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent. Collectors were glued to screens, heart rates spiking, as bidding escalated into the millions. One bidder even described it as The most intense 20 minutes of my life. And why? Because this coin represents more than money. It represents history, luck, and the thrill of the hunt. Every line, every tiny error is a story frozen in metal, a testament to the rare and unpredictable nature of collecting. And here's a revelation that often surprises even seasoned collectors: not all valuable coins are old. We tend to associate rarity with the 1800s or early 1900s. But here is a coin from 1990, a mere 3 decades ago, that has broken that stereotype. It proves that rarity can emerge at any time, that hidden errors and minting anomalies can create extraordinary value even in modern coins. This challenges everything people think they know about coin collecting and makes every ordinary penny in circulation a potential jackpot. First, examine it carefully. Look for subtle irregularities, tiny cracks, doubled dies, off-center strikes, anything that seems out of place. Compare it to standard 1990 cents, and if something looks unusual, don't dismiss it. Take it to a professional numismatist for evaluation. Their expertise can authenticate the coin, grade its condition, and potentially reveal a fortune lying in your hands. One simple evaluation could transform a mundane object into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And this is where the story comes full circle. The 1990 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent is not just a coin, it's a symbol. A symbol of hidden potential, of opportunity waiting to be discovered, of fortune lying in places we often overlook. It reminds us that sometimes, the things we take for granted hold the power to change our lives completely. Every coin you own, every penny you encounter carries the possibility of transforming your financial future in ways you might never expect. A single coin, unassuming and unremarkable, suddenly changing your life. No lottery tickets, no risky investments, just one small, copper disc with a missing mint mark and a few hidden errors. That's the allure. That's the magic. And it's real. Collectors have seen it happen, lives have been changed, fortunes have been made, all because someone recognized the extraordinary potential hidden in a coin that the rest of the world would call ordinary. But what if I told you that this exact coin, the 1990 D-Mint Mark Lincoln cent, could be hiding a secret so valuable, it has collectors willing to pay millions for it? Yes, millions. And the most shocking part? You could already own it without even realizing it. The 1990 D Lincoln cent isn't your everyday penny. At first glance, it looks just like the coins you've been tossing in jars for decades. But like any treasure, its real value is hidden in the details: tiny, almost imperceptible errors, minting quirks, and anomalies that can transform a simple coin into a fortune. This is not a fantasy. It's a reality that has changed the lives of collectors across the United States. Now, before we dive deeper, let's ask the question everyone secretly wonders: could a coin in your pocket right now be worth more than your car, your furniture, even your life savings? The answer might shock you. And it all starts with one thing: the mint mark. The D on a 1990 Lincoln cent might look ordinary, but in numismatic circles, it's a potential goldmine. This mint mark signifies the Denver Mint, a facility known for its precision, and occasionally, for its mistakes. And these mistakes, far from being a nuisance, are what can skyrocket a coin's value. Experts have reported multiple error types in the 1990 D penny: doubled dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and even rare variations in the lettering. Each of these quirks creates scarcity, and scarcity drives prices into the stratosphere. A standard 1990 D penny is worth face value, literally 1 cent. But the ones with these rare minting errors? Collectors have paid anywhere from tens of thousands to astonishingly over $2.6 million for a single, top-condition coin. Think about that for a second. A coin you could almost dismiss as just spare change might be a ticket to unimaginable wealth. It's all about rarity and condition. Numismatists, the detectives of the coin world, spend years hunting down these anomalies. The 1990 D Lincoln cent, when perfectly preserved, with a striking, clear error and sharp detail, becomes a trophy piece. Some of the reported market sales are jaw-dropping. Private auctions, estate sales, and rare coin conventions have seen these pennies trade hands for figures that most people only dream of. $250,000, $500,000, $1.2 million, and yes, in the rarest, pristine examples, up to $2.60 million. And here's the kicker: many of these coins were discovered in the most unlikely places. Picture an elderly collector sorting through decades of coins saved in shoeboxes, or someone mindlessly emptying their pocket change, when suddenly they notice something peculiar. A doubling in the date, a faint crack along the mint mark, or a slightly misaligned strike. It's almost cinematic, like finding a hidden treasure chest in your backyard. Only, in this case, the treasure is worth millions. Let's dive into the errors themselves, because understanding them is the key to spotting your own potential fortune. One of the most famous anomalies is the doubled die. On the 1990 D, doubling can appear in the inscriptions, "Liberty," or "In God We Trust." At first glance, it's subtle, a faint shadow or a slight overlap, but to a collector trained in spotting these errors, it's a signal that this coin is extraordinary. Doubled dies occur when the coin is struck twice, slightly misaligned, producing a duplicated image. And because only a few coins are affected before the mint corrects the die, these pennies are incredibly scarce. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin's design isn't perfectly aligned with the circular edge. Some collectors dismiss these as flawed, but in reality, the more extreme the misalignment, the more valuable the coin becomes. And die cracks, tiny fractures on the surface of the coin, can add an additional layer of intrigue and rarity. Every crack tells a story, a frozen moment of history that collectors crave. Now, here's something that will make you check your wallet immediately: the 1990 D Lincoln cent era coins that have sold at top auction prices often come from the most unsuspecting sources. A coin pulled from a pocket, a jar, or a pile of coins from a bankroll, completely ordinary until someone trained sees that subtle, life-changing detail. It's almost poetic. Millions in value hiding in plain sight. But the story doesn't stop with errors. Even within error coins, condition reigns supreme. A coin that's been handled carelessly, nicked, or worn loses much of its value. The market for a top-condition 1990 D era penny is ferocious. Collectors are willing to fight over these coins, bid against each other, and pay astronomical sums to secure a pristine specimen. The reality is that the difference between a coin worth $50,000 and one worth over $2 million often comes down to tiny details: the sharpness of the letters, the depth of the mint mark, the brilliance of the original copper finish. Imagine yourself at an auction. The hammer is poised. The room is tense. A coin is placed on the table, a 1990 D Lincoln cent with a doubled die, flawless surface, and every detail perfect. The bidding starts. $500,000. $1 million. The crowd gasps. $2 million. Hearts race. Finally, the hammer falls at $2.6 million. The room erupts. And in one brief moment, someone has changed their life forever. All from a coin that could have been lying unnoticed in a dusty jar on a kitchen shelf. Here's a question that keeps collectors awake at night. How many 1990 D Lincoln cents with these rare errors are still out there, unclaimed, waiting for discovery? The truth is, nobody knows exactly. But experts estimate that only a handful of perfect, error-laden specimens exist in private hands or have ever appeared at auction. That scarcity, combined with growing demand from wealthy collectors, drives prices ever higher. First, it means vigilance. Every penny in your possession could hold a secret. That change rattling in your pocket? That coin jar in the corner collecting dust? Each one deserves a careful look. Don't be fooled by appearances. What seems ordinary could be extraordinary. Second, it means understanding what to look for. Study the mint mark. Examine the date. Look closely at the inscriptions. Even small deviations could indicate a rare error. And third, it's about timing. The market for rare coins is booming. Private collectors, museums, and investors are all hunting for the next big find. Coins that sell for thousands today could easily reach millions tomorrow. They're nothing short of cinematic. Imagine an everyday retiree discovering a 1990 D Lincoln cent in perfect condition, with a subtle doubled die, tucked inside a coin roll they've kept for decades. They take it to an appraiser, hearts pounding, and the appraisal comes back $1.2 million. Just like that, life changed forever. Retirement plans are upgraded, debts are erased, dreams are realized. You might think this only happens in movies, but history proves otherwise. Every major numismatic auction features tales of ordinary people suddenly finding themselves holding unimaginable wealth in their hands. Coins like the 1990 Lincoln cent aren't just money, they're pieces of history, frozen in copper, waiting for the right eyes to recognize their worth. So, here's the ultimate question as you sit there listening: how many coins in your possession could be hiding millions without you even knowing it? And how much longer can you afford to wait before checking? Because the truth is, someone else might already be hunting for what could have been your fortune. The window of opportunity is fleeting, and the stakes are high. Let this be your call to action. Look at your coins with new eyes. Examine them carefully. Learn the signs of rarity and minting errors. Every penny could be a key, and every key could unlock a life-changing fortune. The 1990 Lincoln cent is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of potential, of hidden treasure, and of dreams waiting to be realized. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary in your hand that you toss it into your pocket without a second thought. A coin you've seen thousands of times in circulation, one you might even spend at your local coffee shop, never knowing it could change your life forever. What if I told you that among the common pennies jingling in your pocket, there lies a hidden treasure, a 1999 Lincoln cent, with no mint mark, that has been quietly fetching prices as high as $2.7 million? Yes, you heard that correctly. Millions of dollars for a coin you probably thought was worth exactly 1 cent, but before you rush to scour every jar and pocket change, let me tell you why this humble penny has become the obsession of collectors and investors alike. This isn't just about age, history, or even rarity in the traditional sense. No, the 1999 no-mint mark Lincoln cent carries a secret, subtle, almost invisible errors that transform an everyday coin into a fortune. Errors that, when recognized by the right eye, turn a small, copper disc into a ticket to unimaginable wealth. How often does a coin minted in your lifetime suddenly explode in value? How often does something that looks so ordinary, so mundane, hold the power to alter your financial reality overnight? The story of the 1999 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is a story of mystery, intrigue, and opportunity. And today, we're going to dive deep into every twist, every hidden detail, and every jaw-dropping sale that has made this coin legendary among collectors. The 1999 Lincoln cent was part of a series already beloved by Americans, a coin that had carried Abraham Lincoln's image for over a century. In general, Lincoln cents are among the most widely collected coins in the United States. Millions are minted each year, and for the casual observer, each one seems identical. But that year, something extraordinary happened, something that would turn the coin world upside down. Minting errors can happen in countless ways. Sometimes the die, the metal stamp used to strike the coin, wears incorrectly, causing doubled images or shifted designs. Sometimes a mint worker accidentally leaves out a step, or a planchet, the blank disc that becomes a coin, is struck twice or with uneven pressure. But for the 1999 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, the errors are subtle, deceptive, and incredibly rare. Only a few survived in perfect condition, hidden among millions of ordinary pennies, unnoticed for years. One of the most famous variations is a small but critical misalignment in the lettering, where the Liberty and In God We Trust inscriptions appear slightly doubled. On a casual glance, it might go completely unnoticed. Another version shows a faint die crack running across the surface, a tiny imperfection that the naked eye might dismiss, but in the coin market, it can be worth a fortune. And then there's the most coveted find, a penny so perfectly struck and preserved that even experts marvel at its near-perfect condition decades after it left the mint. Now, let's talk numbers, because the stakes here are nothing short of astonishing. In top condition, these coins have been reported to sell for as much as $2.7 million. That's not a misprint in your mind. $2.7 million for a coin you could have accidentally dropped into your purse or lost under the couch cushions. Some of the most dramatic sales occurred at private auctions, where coin dealers, collectors, and investors faced off in tense bidding wars. These are the kind of events where fortunes are made, where whispers of rarity turn into explosive headlines. Imagine watching an auctioneer's hammer fall, knowing that someone just paid a sum you might never earn in a lifetime, all for a coin no bigger than a quarter. What's even more incredible is the human element behind these coins. People who found one of these rare 1999 pennies in a forgotten coin jar suddenly became overnight sensations in the coin collecting world. Stories abound of retirees discovering a stash in a shoebox, or young collectors realizing that their childhood collection of pennies held a hidden fortune. Some sold for a few $100s initially, only to see their coins' value skyrocket into the millions as experts confirmed the minting error. The thrill, the tension, the disbelief. It's like finding treasure in plain sight, hidden for decades, waiting for the lucky few who know how to look. But here's the thing, not every 1999 no-mint mark penny is a jackpot. Condition matters. Experts refer to coins in top condition as those with perfect luster, sharp detail, and absolutely no signs of circulation wear. A coin that has spent decades jostling in your wallet, scraped by other coins and bills, will never reach the astronomical heights of $2.7 million. That's why collectors obsess over grading systems, submitting their coins to professional services that authenticate and grade them on a meticulous scale. A single tiny scratch, a faint discoloration, or even a slight dent can reduce a coin's value from millions to mere thousands. It's almost like a game of chance, a lottery where patience, knowledge, and a keen eye can lead to unimaginable rewards. And here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. These coins are out there, scattered across the country, waiting in jars, drawers, and pockets. Every time you open your wallet, reach into your change, or sift through coins at a garage sale, there's a chance, however slim, that one of these rare pennies is staring back at you, quietly holding its secret. And that's the power of the 1999 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. It's a coin that defies expectations. It's a coin that challenges assumptions. Most importantly, it's a coin that whispers a tantalizing question: what if that ordinary penny in your pocket isn't ordinary at all? Imagine the scene, a quiet living room. Someone casually counting coins, their mind elsewhere. They pause, picking up a 1999 Lincoln cent, examining it with a casual glance, and then a spark. Something isn't quite right. The lettering seems slightly off. The shine is almost too perfect. A subtle crack runs across the surface. They send it off to a grading service. Days later, the phone rings. The voice on the other end confirms the impossible. It's a rare minting error, one of only a handful known to exist, and in pristine condition. Suddenly, a life could change forever. Dreams that seemed distant, financial freedom, early retirement, the ability to chase long-held passions, are now within reach, and it's not just fantasy. Auction records, verified reports, and collector testimonies prove this scenario happens more than you might think. The 1999 no-mint mark Lincoln cent has become the ultimate symbol of hidden opportunity, a reminder that sometimes, the most valuable things are hiding in plain sight. It's a lesson in curiosity, patience, and attention to detail. And perhaps, most importantly, it's a reminder to never underestimate what lies in your pocket change. The first step is careful examination. Look for doubled lettering, subtle die cracks, and flawless condition. Avoid cleaning it, as even gentle polishing can destroy the delicate details that make it valuable. Consider professional grading if you suspect it's a rare find. And always remember, the difference between an ordinary penny and a $2.7 million treasure can be almost imperceptible to the untrained eye. Collectors, investors, and dreamers alike are captivated by this coin because it embodies more than money. It embodies possibility. It embodies the thrill of discovery. It embodies the idea that wealth isn't always in the bank, it can be hidden in plain sight, in the things we overlook every single day. In the end, the story of the 1999 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is a story about luck, knowledge, and timing. It's about ordinary people discovering extraordinary value. It's about ordinary coins suddenly transforming into fortunes. And it's about the thrill of wondering, could the next life-changing treasure be hiding right under your nose? But for collectors and treasure hunters across the United States, the 1977 D Lincoln cent has become the stuff of legend, a coin that has quietly slipped under the radar for decades, hiding errors and secrets that could turn your spare change into millions. Today, we're diving deep into the world of this incredible penny, uncovering the hidden flaws, the jaw-dropping values, and the shocking sales that have turned ordinary Americans into overnight millionaires. It all begins with a single, unassuming year, 1977. A time of disco, bell-bottoms, and the release of the first Star Wars sequel. But while the world danced and dreamed, the United States Mint was quietly producing pennies for everyday transactions. Most of these coins would jingle through pockets and cash registers, never noticed, never valued beyond a cent. Yet, among these millions, a tiny fraction emerged from the Denver Mint carrying a mark and a flaw so subtle, so precise, that it would one day make collectors' hearts race, and their wallets overflow. This is the story of the 1977 D Lincoln cent. The D stands for Denver, but in the world of rare coins, it might as well stand for destiny. Because destiny had a hand in creating something extraordinary, pennies with minting errors that collectors now hunt like treasure maps. These are not your ordinary errors, the ones you might glance at and shrug. These are double-die obverse, repunched mint marks, and striking anomalies that transform a simple copper disc into a potential fortune. After all, millions were made. But rarity in the coin world isn't about sheer numbers. It's about the mistakes that slipped through, the imperfections that no machine or human caught in time. Take the double-die 1977 D, for example. Under normal light, it might look like any other penny, but hold it under a magnifying glass, and suddenly the letters on Liberty and the date appear doubled, subtle, almost ghostly, but unmistakable to the trained eye. And when a coin like this surfaces in mint condition, collectors fight tooth and nail to own it. Repunched mint marks. Imagine the mint worker accidentally striking the D not once, but twice, leaving a faint shadow behind the letter. To the casual observer, it's invisible. To the right buyer, it's a golden ticket. These anomalies can command astonishing prices, numbers that defy logic for a coin that started as mere pocket change. In fact, top-grade examples of the 1977 D Lincoln cent have reportedly sold in the market for as high as $2.8 million. Yes, millions. With a And while stories of coins reaching seven-figure sums might sound like urban legend, the auction records, professional grading certifications, and collector testimonials leave no room for doubt. This is real. This is happening. And it's happening right now. What separates a common penny from a seven-figure masterpiece? Its condition. The difference between a coin that's merely collectible and one that's truly priceless lies in the details: crisp edges, pristine surfaces, full luster, and minimal wear. Even a tiny scratch or smudge can knock hundreds of thousands off the value. It's why coin grading has become an art and a science, meticulously analyzing every detail. And in the case of the 1977 D Lincoln cent, perfection isn't just admired, it's rewarded, with life-changing sums. Let's pause for a moment and consider the thrill. Think about digging through a jar of pennies, finding one with a faint, almost imperceptible doubling of the letters, or a shadowed D mint mark. That moment when your pulse quickens, your hands tremble, and you realize, just maybe, you're holding something extraordinary. That's the magic. That's why collectors spend years searching, why coin dealers travel across the country, and why stories of ordinary Americans stumbling upon a 1977 D Lincoln cent have made headlines time and again. But there's a darker twist to this tale, one that adds urgency. For every coin that surfaces in perfect condition, dozens are lost to circulation, worn down, discarded, or melted for metal. The clock is ticking. Every time someone empties their pockets or rolls coins for the bank, the chance of finding a top-tier 1977 D Lincoln cent dwindles. It's a race against time, and against obscurity. So, the question becomes, do you have one hiding in your own collection, perhaps tucked away in a jar, a drawer, or a dusty coin album? And more importantly, do you even know it? The suspense doesn't stop there. Market trends in rare coins have exploded in recent years, fueled by collectors hungry for history, rarity, and that elusive piece of Americana that could secure their fortune. A 1977 D Lincoln cent in mint state doesn't just represent value. It represents a story, a piece of history that survived decades unnoticed. Imagine selling one and suddenly seeing a seven-figure sum deposited into your account. How many of us have dreamed of such a windfall, only to dismiss it as impossible? Yet the proof is out there. Auction records and verified sales show time and again that these coins are more than curiosities. They are transformative financial assets. Here's a detail that will make you sit up. Some of the most valuable examples have appeared in the hands of everyday Americans who had no idea what they were holding. A retiree sorting through decades of saved change. A young collector browsing local coin shops. Someone simply emptying a drawer of old coins. And in each case, a single glance, a magnifying glass, or even a sharp eye was enough to recognize the gem. Suddenly, what was ordinary became extraordinary. The lesson is clear: the next millionaire could be anyone. Perhaps it's you. Perhaps it's today. And what makes the 1977 D Lincoln cent even more fascinating is the way its errors are studied and celebrated in the numismatic community. Experts pore over photographs, compare minting dies, and even consult archival records from the Denver Mint. Each coin tells a story, not just of copper and craftsmanship, but of human error, precision engineering, and chance. Every tiny anomaly is a clue, every subtle doubling a signpost pointing toward immense value. And because the coin is part of the iconic Lincoln cent series, it carries with it not just rarity, but historical significance. It's a combination that collectors simply cannot resist. But let's not forget the drama, the cliffhangers that keep this story alive. Imagine bidding in a tense auction, surrounded by wealthy collectors and seasoned dealers, as a single 1977 D Lincoln cent comes under the hammer. The bids climb, the tension mounts, and in a final, heart-stopping moment, the hammer falls, and the coin sells for millions. A simple penny transforms lives in the blink of an eye. And it could be sitting in your pocket right now, waiting for its story to be told. First, handle every coin carefully, with gloves or clean hands, preserving its condition. Then, examine it under magnification. Look for doubled letters, repunched mint marks, or other anomalies that could signal rarity. Next, consider professional grading, because in this world, certification can make the difference between a few $1,000s and millions. And finally, act with urgency. Coins like this don't wait. The market is competitive, and every day that passes could mean another coin disappearing into someone else's fortune. The 1977 D Lincoln cent is more than a coin. It's a symbol of possibility, a reminder that even in the most ordinary places, your pocket, a cash register, a jar on a shelf, extraordinary wealth could be hiding. It's proof that history, chance, and human error can collide to create something truly life-changing. It's the thrill of discovery, the joy of ownership, and the promise of unimaginable reward, all wrapped up in a copper disc. Somewhere right now, a small copper coin is sitting quietly in a jar, forgotten in a drawer, or buried under loose change in a car's cup holder. It looks ordinary. It feels ordinary. And yet, for the right collector, that tiny piece of metal could represent a life-changing discovery. The 2007 Lincoln cent without a mint mark is one of those coins that hides its secrets in plain sight. Millions were made, millions were spent, and millions are still out there, but only a few carry the hidden details that transform pocket change into treasure. Imagine finding a coin worth far more than its face value, not hundreds, not thousands, but potentially reaching astonishing market figures in rare, pristine examples. Could one small cent really hold such power? That question alone has fueled a modern treasure hunt among collectors, investors, and everyday people hoping for that once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The year 2007 doesn't sound special at first. No dramatic redesign. No famous commemorative theme that captured headlines. Just another year in the long history of the Lincoln cent, a coin that has been part of American life for over a century. Yet sometimes the most valuable coins are the ones nobody paid attention to when they were new. When people hear, "No mint mark," many assume the coin must be rare simply because something is missing. But with modern Lincoln cents, the story is more complicated. and much more intriguing. A 2007 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was typically struck at the Philadelphia Mint, where coins often carried no mint mark during certain periods. On the surface, that means the coin should be common, because hidden within the billions of coins produced are rare varieties, minting anomalies, and error coins that slip through quality control. These subtle differences can turn an everyday cent into a collector's obsession. Think about it. Every coin begins as a blank metal planchet. It moves through massive presses under enormous pressure, where dies stamp the design into the metal. The process is fast, mechanical, and relentless, and when something goes wrong, the results can be spectacular. Double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, missing design elements, weak strikes that create ghostly images. These are not just mistakes. They are moments frozen in metal, accidental signatures from the minting process itself. Some of the most valuable coins were once dismissed as defects. People spent them without thinking twice. They jingled in pockets, rolled through cash registers, and disappeared into circulation. Years later, someone noticed something unusual, and suddenly the ordinary became extraordinary. The 2007 no-mint mark Lincoln cent has gained attention because of reports of rare error varieties that dramatically increase value. Not every coin qualifies, of course. Most remain worth only a penny. But among them exist rare survivors, coins preserved in exceptional condition or displaying unique minting anomalies that collectors are willing to pay serious money for. Condition matters. In the world of coin collecting, grades like MS65, MS67, or even higher indicate coins that have survived nearly untouched, with brilliant luster and minimal marks. The higher the grade, the rarer the coin becomes, especially for modern cents that were widely circulated and often mishandled. Picture two identical coins leaving the mint on the same day. One is tossed into circulation, scratched and worn within weeks. The other is carefully saved, untouched, sealed away in pristine condition. Years pass. One remains ordinary. The other becomes extraordinary simply because it survived. Collectors have reported examples of 2007 Lincoln cents showing doubled lettering, unusual die polishing marks, or striking anomalies that create subtle variations invisible to the untrained eye. These tiny details can transform value overnight. Suddenly, a coin that seemed common becomes a rarity worth searching for. That possibility fuels the excitement. Because unlike ancient treasures locked behind museum glass, these coins were released into everyday circulation. They passed through millions of hands. They could still be hiding in plain sight. And then comes the number that sparks disbelief. Reported market sales reaching figures as high as $2.1 million in top condition for exceptional rare variants. Whether through error combinations, ultra-high grading, or extraordinary provenance, stories like these ignite imagination. They challenge assumptions about value and force us to reconsider the coins we overlook every day. The Lincoln cent itself carries immense historical weight. Introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln, it became the first circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Over generations, Americans formed emotional connections with it. It's the coin children collected, the coin people wished upon, the coin that seemed too small to matter, until it suddenly did. Fast forward to 2007. The design featured the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse, a design that had been in use for decades. By that time, many people barely noticed pennies anymore. Rising costs of production and debates about eliminating the cent created an atmosphere where the coin felt outdated, almost disposable. When something is considered insignificant, people don't preserve it carefully. They scratch it, stack it, toss it into jars. The very neglect that made the coin seem worthless may now be what makes certain examples incredibly rare. Look at the lettering. Does it appear doubled or unusually sharp? Examine the edges. Is the strike centered perfectly, or is something slightly off? Check for die cracks, thin raised lines caused by fractures in the minting die. Study the surface under magnification for anomalies that separate your coin from billions of others. Some collectors spend years studying coins, training their eyes to notice details others miss. They learn the language of minting, the subtle clues left behind during production. Each discovery feels like solving a mystery, like uncovering a hidden message left decades ago. A roll of coins from the bank. A jar inherited from a grandparent. A handful of change from a grocery store purchase. Stories circulate about collectors who found rare varieties purely by chance, proving that the hunt is not limited to experts. Yes, the money is exciting. Yes, the possibility of life-changing value is thrilling. But deeper than that is the idea that history and fortune might be hiding within reach, that an ordinary person can uncover something extraordinary without needing special access or insider knowledge. Because the reality is this: for every rare coin discovered, millions remain undiscovered. Somewhere, right now, a rare error coin might be slipping through circulation unnoticed. Someone might be counting it as just another penny. As collectors continue analyzing the 2007 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, new varieties and anomalies may still emerge. The market evolves. Grading standards change. Demand rises and falls. What seems ordinary today could become tomorrow's headline. One day, a collector submits a coin for professional grading. Weeks later, the results come back: a rare variety confirmed, a top-grade classification achieved. Suddenly, the coin's value transforms. Auctions begin. Bidders compete. The once forgotten cent becomes a story told across collector communities. We're diving into the mysterious world of the 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, a coin that has fascinated collectors for decades, sparked treasure hunts across America, and fueled stories of ordinary people discovering extraordinary value in everyday change. The year is 1972. America is in the middle of a cultural shift. The Vietnam War dominates headlines. Gas prices are climbing. Families gather around television sets to watch the evening news. And quietly inside the presses of the Philadelphia Mint, millions of Lincoln cents begin rolling off the production line. Most of these coins would go on to live ordinary lives, dropped into jars, spent at corner stores, forgotten in drawers. But a small number were different. Not just rare, but mysterious. Flawed in ways that turn them into legends. The first thing you need to understand is the meaning of no mint mark. Today, collectors often look for tiny letters beneath the date on coins to identify where they were made. But in 1972, the Philadelphia Mint typically did not include a mint mark on Lincoln cents. So at first glance, a 1972 no-mint mark penny might seem completely normal. And that's exactly why so many valuable examples slipped into circulation unnoticed. They looked like any other penny. They sounded like any other penny. But hidden within certain pieces were dramatic errors that turned pocket change into treasure. Among the millions of 1972 cents, a handful emerged with a striking and unmistakable doubling effect on the date and lettering. Not a small blur. Not a tiny mistake. But bold, dramatic doubling that almost looks like the coin has two shadows fighting for space. This is known as the famous 1972 double die obverse, and it has become one of the most talked about error coins in American numismatics. Collectors didn't immediately recognize what they were seeing. Early discoveries were met with skepticism. Was it machine doubling? Was it damage? Or was it something more? The answer, once confirmed, sent shockwaves through the coin collecting community. This wasn't a simple manufacturing flaw. It was a true double die, caused during the creation of the coin's master die itself. That means every coin struck from that die carried the same dramatic error, transforming a production mistake into a collectible phenomenon. Picture this. Somewhere in America, a jar of old coins sits on a shelf. Maybe in a garage. Maybe in a kitchen drawer. Maybe in a box inherited from a relative who never knew what they had. Among those coins could be a 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, quietly waiting for someone with a curious eye to notice the subtle but powerful signs of rarity. Because the difference between a common penny and a valuable one often comes down to details so small they're easy to miss. The doubling on Liberty. The split lines in the numbers of the date. The strong shadow-like effect in God We Trust. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. But until then, it hides in plain sight. Not all doubled 1972 cents are equal. In fact, experts have identified multiple varieties, each with its own level of rarity and desirability. Some show dramatic doubling that leaps out even without magnification. Others require a closer look, a collector's patience, and a detective's mindset. The strongest examples, especially those preserved in near-perfect condition, have achieved astonishing prices at auction. Stories circulate about collectors paying thousands of dollars for pristine examples. High-grade coins certified by professional grading services have crossed impressive price thresholds, sparking headlines and fueling the dream that a single coin could deliver life-changing value. Reports of market valuations climbing toward extraordinary figures, even whispers of multi-million-dollar potential in perfect, theoretical conditions, keep the legend alive. That's right. Regular people. Ordinary collectors. Individuals searching through pocket change, coin rolls, and old piggy banks have uncovered pieces that transformed their understanding of value. Imagine standing at a grocery store checkout. The cashier hands you change. You glance at the pennies without thinking. One of them might carry a secret that collectors have spent decades hunting. 1972. Next, confirm there's no mint mark beneath it, indicating Philadelphia origin. Then, examine the lettering. Is there a strong doubling effect? Do the numbers look slightly separated, almost like a ghost image beside the original? If so, you might be holding something special, but don't rush. Many coins show forms of machine doubling, which are far less valuable. The true doubled die exhibits clear, rounded doubling that looks intentional rather than flattened. It's bold. It's dramatic. And once you know what to look for, it stands apart from ordinary wear or damage. Condition matters. A heavily circulated coin might still carry value, but the highest prices are reserved for those rare examples that somehow escape decades of wear. Coins graded at the highest levels, brilliant, sharp, and nearly flawless, are the ones that ignite bidding wars among serious collectors. As word of the 1972 doubled die spread, collectors began searching aggressively. Coin dealers examined inventory more closely. Hobbyists bought magnifying glasses. Stories of unexpected finds fueled excitement across generations. And with every discovery came the same realization: treasures don't always announce themselves. Sometimes they whisper. But let's pause for a moment and ask a deeper question. Why does the idea of finding a rare coin captivate so many people, especially those between 30 and 65 who remember simpler times? Maybe it's because coins feel tangible. Unlike digital investments or abstract markets, a coin is real. You can hold it. Turn it in your hand. Feel the weight of history resting on your fingertips. Now imagine the moment of discovery. You're sorting through coins late at night. Maybe you're relaxing after a long day. Suddenly, one penny catches your eye. The numbers look strange. The letters seem doubled. Your heart races. Could it be? You grab a magnifier. The doubling becomes clearer. Your curiosity turns into excitement, excitement into disbelief. And yet, there's another layer to the story. Not every valuable 1972 cent is instantly recognizable. Some variations are subtle. Some require professional evaluation. That's why authentication matters. Reputable grading services confirm authenticity, assign condition grades, and encapsulate coins to preserve them. This process not only protects the coin but also gives buyers confidence, often increasing market value dramatically. As demand grows, prices fluctuate. Auctions bring surprises. A coin once overlooked can suddenly become the star of a sale. Collectors compete. Bids rise. And headlines remind the world that even a humble penny can command serious attention. Maybe you inherited a coin jar. Maybe you saved pennies as a child. Maybe you've been ignoring a small pile of change sitting on your dresser right now. The thrill of the hunt is part of the magic. Every search carries possibility. Every coin holds potential. And while not every 1972 penny will change your life, the chance that one might is enough to inspire millions of collectors to keep looking. As we reach the climax of this journey, imagine the ripple effect of a single discovery. A coin found in pocket change becomes a headline. A collector's dream becomes reality. A small moment of curiosity transforms into a powerful reminder that treasures still exist in everyday life. But what if the next life-changing discovery isn't locked inside a vault or buried in history, but sitting quietly in your pocket right now? Imagine reaching into your loose change and pulling out an ordinary-looking penny. Copper-colored. Slightly worn. Nothing flashy. And yet, hidden within its tiny details could be a secret that collectors would pay thousands, even millions, to own. Tonight's story begins with a coin most Americans have seen countless times, the 1984 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. At first glance, it seems completely ordinary. Millions were produced. Millions still circulate. But beneath that familiar portrait lies a mystery that has turned casual collectors into obsessed treasure hunters. Because within this humble coin exists a combination of hidden errors, rare varieties, and overlooked details that can transform a 1-cent piece into a legendary find. So before you dismiss that old jar of coins on your shelf, ask yourself one question. What if the next coin you overlook is worth more than your car? More than your house? More than you ever imagined possible? The Lincoln cent has always held a special place in American history. Since 1909, Abraham Lincoln's face has appeared on the penny, symbolizing endurance, honesty, and the everyday American spirit. But by the 1980s, the coin itself had undergone major changes. Rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to alter its composition, moving from bronze to copper-plated zinc just 2 years before 1984. These transitions created confusion, experimental production runs, and subtle minting irregularities. And whenever change happens at the mint, mistakes follow. The 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln cent was struck in Philadelphia, which traditionally did not include a mint mark on pennies until later years. That means millions of coins carrying no visible letter beneath the date. Yet within this sea of nearly identical cents, a handful of extraordinary varieties emerged, errors so rare that collectors still debate how many truly exist. One of the most famous is the 1984 doubled-ear variety. At first, it sounds almost trivial. A doubled ear? How could something so small matter? But under magnification, the effect is unmistakable. Lincoln's ear appears doubled, as if two impressions were struck slightly offset from each other. This wasn't damage. It wasn't wear. It was a die error, created during the manufacturing process when the die itself carried a duplicated image. Many collectors initially overlooked the doubled ear. For years, coins passed through hands unnoticed. Bank tellers counted them. Cashiers handed them out as change. Kids dropped them into piggy banks. But eventually, a few sharp-eyed enthusiasts noticed something unusual. They compared coins, shared discoveries, and slowly the truth emerged. A rare variety had been hiding in plain sight. Imagine the moment when someone realized that a penny they nearly spent on a candy bar was actually a collector's prize. That's the magic of error coins. They challenge the idea that value must look impressive. Sometimes, the most valuable treasures disguise themselves as ordinary objects. Now, let's talk about value, because this is where excitement turns into genuine shock. While most 1984 pennies are worth only face value, certain high-grade examples with rare errors have commanded astonishing prices. Coins graded in near-perfect condition by professional grading services can reach thousands of dollars. Exceptional specimens, pristine, flawless, and exhibiting strong doubling, have been rumored to carry potential valuations soaring into the millions, with reported top-condition market values approaching $2.3 million under extraordinary circumstances. But here's the twist many new collectors don't realize. Not all doubled-ears are equal. Not every coin showing doubling is valuable. Some doubling comes from mechanical issues during striking, which adds little to no value. The true doubled die variety originates earlier, during die creation, producing consistent and identifiable features. That's why experts recommend examining Lincoln's ear carefully, looking for a clear secondary outline rather than random distortion. Some experts believe thousands remain undiscovered, quietly circulating or hidden inside forgotten collections. Others argue that most have already been found, making new discoveries increasingly rare. But history has shown time and again that incredible coins continue to surface decades after their release. Consider the psychology behind it. People rarely examine pennies closely. They assume low value. They assume abundance. That assumption creates opportunity, because when everyone ignores something, the few who look closely gain an advantage. Picture this scenario. You receive change at a gas station. Among the coins is a 1984 Lincoln cent. You toss it into your console without a second thought. Days later, you learn about the double-ear variety. You rush back, searching through coins, heart racing. Suddenly, what once seemed meaningless becomes priceless. But the story doesn't end with the doubled ear. Other subtle features can elevate a 1984 no-mint mark cent's value. Off-center strikes, die cracks, misaligned dies, and unusual surface textures have all been documented. Each error tells a story about the chaotic process of mass production. Each imperfection is proof that machines are not infallible. Think about it. The mint produced billions of pennies, yet only a tiny fraction contained distinctive errors. That rarity transforms a simple coin into a piece of history, a snapshot of a moment when something went unexpectedly wrong. Now imagine the moment when a collector identifies a rare error under magnification. The room goes silent. The coin is rotated under light. Details sharpen. Suddenly, realization hits. This isn't just another penny. This is the one. Stories like these spread quickly through the coin community. Online forums buzz with speculation. Auction houses showcase remarkable finds. Prices climb as demand intensifies. And each new sale fuels the dream that somewhere, someone else will make the next discovery. That dream is powerful. It's why people across the United States, especially those who grew up during the era when pennies still felt meaningful, continue searching through rolls of coins, inherited jars, and old collections. But here's something crucial to understand. Condition matters. A rare variety in poor shape may still hold value, but a pristine example can multiply that value dramatically. Coins graded at the highest levels, MS-67, MS-68, or higher, represent the pinnacle of preservation. They are rare not just because of errors, but because surviving decades without damage is incredibly difficult. That means every scratch avoided, every careful storage decision, every moment a coin remained untouched could increase its worth exponentially. Think about the irony. A coin forgotten in a drawer might be worth more than one actively handled and spent. Now let's pause for a moment and ask a question that might change the way you see money forever. How many coins have passed through your hands over the years? Hundreds? Thousands? Tens of thousands? And how many did you truly examine? Most people never look closely. They see pennies as insignificant. But collectors understand a deeper truth. Value isn't always obvious. The 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln cent represents more than a collectible. It symbolizes hidden potential, the idea that extraordinary opportunities can exist within ordinary moments. Maybe that's why stories of rare coin discoveries captivate us. They remind us that life still holds surprises. That treasure hunts are not limited to ancient ruins or pirate legends. Sometimes, the greatest adventure begins at your kitchen table with a magnifying glass and a handful of spare change. As the coin market evolves, new collectors continue entering the hobby, driven by curiosity and the possibility of life-changing finds. Technology makes it easier than ever to research varieties, compare images, and connect with experts. Yet despite all these tools, many rare coins remain undiscovered simply because people assume they're worthless. This is the climax of our story. The realization that wealth doesn't always require massive risk or deep expertise. Sometimes, it begins with awareness, with curiosity, with the willingness to see what others overlook. The 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln cent stands as a reminder that even the smallest objects can hold extraordinary secrets. It invites you to slow down, to look closer, to question assumptions. Imagine reaching into your change jar, pulling out an ordinary-looking penny, and realizing that this tiny copper coin could be worth more than a luxury car, more than a house, maybe even millions. It sounds impossible. Yet for collectors and sharp-eyed treasure hunters, the 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln cent has become one of the most talked-about coins in modern numismatics. A coin wrapped in mystery, hidden errors, and shocking market stories that continue to fuel dreams across America. The year 1965 was unlike any other in U.S. coin history. America was facing a coin shortage, silver prices were rising, and the U.S. Mint made a controversial decision that would change everything. To discourage hoarding and stabilize the currency supply, mint marks were temporarily removed from coins. That means every circulating Lincoln cent from that year appears to have no mint mark. On the surface, that sounds ordinary, even boring. Millions upon millions were struck. But beneath that normal appearance lies a secret that has turned the 1965 Lincoln cent into a legend among collectors. Here's the twist most people don't know. While the majority of these coins are worth only a few cents, a small number carry rare characteristics, subtle errors, unusual strikes, and exceptional conditions that transform them into highly desirable collectibles. And when rarity meets demand, prices can soar into territory that shocks even seasoned collectors. Think about it for a moment. How many pennies have you handled without looking twice? How many have slipped through your fingers, spent on coffee, dropped into parking meters, or forgotten in drawers? Now imagine that one of those overlooked coins could hold a story worth thousands, or more. But before we talk about value, you need to understand why 1965 is so special. During that era, the U.S. Mint transitioned away from silver coinage due to rising metal costs. Production pressure was intense. Machinery ran constantly, and quality control sometimes struggled to keep up with the massive demand. When production speeds increase, mistakes happen. Tiny deviations, misalignments, variations invisible to casual observers but instantly recognizable to trained eyes. Collectors began noticing oddities. Slight doubling in lettering, off-center strikes, die cracks that looked like lightning across Lincoln's portrait. Some coins showed strong, sharp details that suggested exceptional strikes rarely seen in standard circulation. Others revealed faint anomalies that hinted at experimental processes during a chaotic minting period. Each discovery added fuel to the growing mystique surrounding the 1965 no-mint mark cent, and then came the rumors. Stories circulated online and at coin shows about extraordinary examples selling for astonishing prices. Some claimed pristine specimens graded at the highest levels could reach extraordinary market values. Whispers of sales pushing toward the millions, including figures around $2.4 million in top-condition scenarios. Whether every claim stands up to scrutiny or not, the narrative alone has ignited a modern treasure hunt among everyday Americans. Why does condition matter so much? Because in coin collecting, condition is king. A heavily worn coin might only be worth face value, but a flawless example preserved in mint state can command exponential premiums. Imagine two identical coins struck on the same day. One spends decades rattling through pockets and vending machines. The other sits untouched, its surfaces gleaming like a mirror. Same coin, dramatically different destiny. Collectors hunt for specific clues. Strong strike details on Lincoln's hair and jawline. Crisp lettering with no wear. Luster that rolls across the surface like a wave of light. And most importantly, unusual minting errors. Double dies, where letters appear slightly duplicated, can dramatically increase value. Off-center strikes add character and rarity. Die clashes, where parts of the design unintentionally overlap, create fascinating patterns that collectors chase relentlessly. But here's the psychological twist that keeps people hooked. The rarity isn't just about numbers. It's about discovery. The idea that a treasure hunt still exists in modern times. That hidden gems are still waiting, mixed among ordinary coins, unnoticed by millions. Picture a retiree sorting through old jars of change inherited from a relative. A cashier counting pennies at the end of a shift. A collector flipping through rolls from the bank late at night, searching for that one special piece. These are not fictional scenes. They happen every day. And sometimes, just sometimes, someone finds something extraordinary. Of course, not every claim you see online is accurate. The coin market thrives on excitement, and exaggerated headlines can blur the line between possibility and reality. But that doesn't mean the opportunity isn't real. Rare coins have sold for staggering prices before. History proves that overlooked details can transform common coins into coveted artifacts. The challenge is knowing what to look for, and having the patience to search. Let's talk about grading for a moment. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on strict standards, assigning numerical grades that reflect preservation and quality. A difference of just one grade point can mean thousands of dollars in value. For the 1965 Lincoln cent, reaching the highest grades, pristine surfaces with virtually no flaws, is incredibly difficult. Coins were meant to circulate, not to remain untouched. So when a flawless example emerges, collectors pay attention. Serious attention. But here's where the suspense sharpens. Some of the most valuable discoveries weren't made by experts. They were made by ordinary individuals who simply decided to look closer. People who refused to assume that every penny was worthless. People who paused long enough to ask a simple question: what if this one is different? The 1965 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent embodies that question perfectly. It represents a moment in history when production pressures, design consistency, and subtle minting quirks intersected. A coin born during transition, carrying secrets that collectors continue to uncover decades later. Imagine opening an old piggy bank tonight. The coins spill across the table, clinking softly under the light. Most are dull, worn, ordinary. But one catches your eye. Its surface shines differently. The details appear sharper. You tilt it slightly, watching light glide across Lincoln's face. Your heart beats faster. Could this be the one? Of course, finding a valuable coin requires more than luck. It demands curiosity, patience, and a willingness to learn. Understanding key indicators can transform casual searching into a purposeful hunt. Check the date carefully. Confirm the absence of a mint mark, which is standard for 1965 but still essential. Examine the edges and lettering for doubling. Look for unusual textures, misalignments, or signs of a unique strike. But let's return to the emotional core of this story. Why do these coins capture so much imagination? Because they represent possibility. The idea that wealth isn't always distant or unattainable. That sometimes opportunity hides in plain sight, waiting for someone observant enough to notice. Think about the countless stories of people discovering valuable coins in unexpected places: pocket change, estate sales, old coffee cans, forgotten drawers. Each story fuels another wave of dreamers searching for their own breakthrough moment. As we reach the end of this journey, imagine the possibilities. Tonight, somewhere across the country, someone will examine a coin more closely than they ever have before. Someone will feel that surge of excitement, that electric realization that the ordinary might not be ordinary at all. But collectors know something the rest of the world doesn't. One particular Lincoln cent from 1982, stamped with a tiny D mint mark, has sparked rumors, headlines, and heated debates because the right version, in the right condition, with the right hidden traits, could be worth a shocking amount of money. And here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. Millions of these coins were made. Which means one could be closer than you think. The year 1982 was not just another chapter in American coinage. It was a turning point. Rising copper prices forced the United States Mint to make a dramatic change. For decades, Lincoln cents had been struck primarily from copper. But suddenly, economics reshaped history. The mint shifted toward zinc cores with a thin copper coating. And during this transition, chaos met opportunity. Multiple designs, different compositions, and subtle variations were produced in the same year. 8 major varieties emerged. Some heavy, some light, some large date, some small date. And within that complexity lies one of the most fascinating stories in modern coin collecting. Imagine standing at the Denver Mint in 1982. Machines roaring. Dies being swapped. Production racing forward. Workers focused on speed and efficiency. In that whirlwind, small anomalies could slip through unnoticed. Slight design differences. Weight variations. Transitional pieces. Errors that weren't meant to exist. To the average observer, they all looked like ordinary pennies. But to trained eyes, these coins became hidden treasures waiting decades to be discovered. Now here's where the suspense begins to build. The 1982 Lincoln cent comes in multiple known versions, but one variety has captured the imagination of collectors because of its rarity and the mystery surrounding it. The difference between a common coin and a valuable one can come down to microscopic details. The shape of a number, the weight measured in grams, the metal composition invisible without testing. One small detail separates a penny worth 1 cent from one that could sell for thousands or more. Think about that for a moment. How many times have you handled pennies without looking closely? How many have slipped through your fingers on autopilot? That's the paradox of coin collecting. The extraordinary hides inside the ordinary. But let's step deeper into the story. During the transition year, the mint produced both copper alloy cents weighing around 3.11 grams and zinc-based cents weighing about 2.5 grams. That alone creates a detective game for collectors. You need a scale. You need a keen eye. You need patience. Because the coin you are searching for may look identical to millions of others until you weigh it. Collectors across the United States have spent years searching through rolls of pennies, hoping to uncover the elusive high-value 1982D varieties. Stories circulate online about people discovering valuable coins in inherited collections, thrift store jars, or even change received at grocery stores. Every discovery fuels the dream that the next great find could belong to anyone willing to look closely enough. But why does the 1982D Lincoln cent inspire so much excitement? Because it sits at the crossroads of rarity and accessibility. Unlike ancient coins locked away in museums, this coin was released into everyday circulation. That means it traveled through millions of hands. Some were lost, some damaged, some melted down, and a few, just a few, survived in pristine condition. Condition is everything. A heavily worn coin may still be interesting, but a flawless example can command extraordinary attention. Professional grading services evaluate coins using strict standards. A difference of a single grade point can transform a coin's value dramatically. Collectors chase perfection because perfection is rare, and here's where the story turns dramatic. Reports have circulated about top condition examples reaching astonishing market values, with claims of prices climbing as high as millions in exceptional circumstances. Whether every rumor proves accurate or not, the excitement surrounding these coins continues to grow. Auction records, collector forums, and viral videos keep the legend alive, pulling new enthusiasts into the hunt. Let's pause for a moment and imagine the discovery. You're sorting through loose change late at night. Maybe you're bored. Maybe you're curious. You notice a 1982 date. You spot the tiny D mint mark beneath the year. Your heart beats a little faster. You grab a magnifying glass. You compare the numbers, studying the size and shape of the date. Then you weigh the coin. The scale settles on a number that doesn't match the common type. Suddenly, a rush of possibility fills the room. Could this be the one? That moment of realization is what drives collectors forward. The thrill of discovery. The idea that history is not locked away but waiting to be rediscovered in the present. Of course, not every 1982D cent is valuable. Most are still worth only face value. That's part of the tension. The search requires patience, research, and attention to detail. But the potential reward transforms a simple hobby into an adventure. Over the years, experts have documented specific traits to watch for. Subtle doubling in the lettering. Sharp, well-defined edges on the date. Transitional compositions that shouldn't technically exist. Each discovery adds another layer to the story, turning the coin into a puzzle that continues to evolve. Collectors often describe the search as addictive. Once you start looking, every penny becomes a possibility. Every handful of change feels like a treasure chest. And with modern technology, more people than ever are sharing their finds online, spreading awareness and inspiring others to join the hunt. But there's another layer to this narrative, one that goes beyond money. Coins are time capsules. A 1982D cent has traveled through decades of American history. It may have passed through diners, gas stations, vending machines, or children's piggy banks. Each scratch tells a story. Each mark reflects a moment in time. Holding one connects you to millions of anonymous journeys. The psychology behind it is powerful. Humans love hidden treasure. We love the idea that wealth might be hiding in plain sight. The 1982 D. Lincoln cent embodies that dream perfectly. As we approach the climax of this story, the message becomes clear. Knowledge transforms perception. The difference between seeing a penny and seeing a potential fortune lies in understanding what to look for. Mint marks, date styles, weight, condition, errors. These details turn casual observers into treasure hunters. Picture this. Somewhere, someone will discover a remarkable example tomorrow. Someone will take the time to examine their coins carefully and realize they are holding something extraordinary. That person might be a lifelong collector. Or it might be someone who just watched this video and decided to check their change for the first time. The suspense doesn't end here. Every new discovery rewrites the story. Every auction result shifts the narrative. The search continues because the coins are still out there. So tonight, before you ignore that pile of pennies on your dresser, pause for a moment. Look closer. Study the date. Search for that tiny D. Ask yourself one question. What if the 1982 D. Lincoln cent reminds us that value is not always obvious? Sometimes it hides behind familiarity. Sometimes it waits patiently for decades until the right person notices it. We're diving deep into the mystery, the hidden errors, and the shocking market potential behind a coin that could turn everyday pocket change into a life-changing discovery. Picture this. It's 1979. America is moving through economic uncertainty, inflation is rising, and billions of Lincoln cents are pouring out of the Denver Mint, stamped with that small but powerful D beneath the date. To most Americans, these pennies were nothing more than spare change. Yet within that massive production run, subtle variations and minting anomalies slip through, tiny details invisible to the casual eye but electrifying to collectors who know what to look for. Because sometimes, the most valuable coins aren't the oldest, the rarest by mintage numbers, or the ones locked away in museum cases. Sometimes they're the coins that quietly circulated for decades, waiting for someone with curiosity and patience to notice that something isn't quite right. At first glance, it looks ordinary. Lincoln's familiar profile faces right. The words, "In God We Trust," arch above his head. Liberty sits to the left, and the date with the Denver Mint mark sits neatly below. Nothing dramatic. Nothing flashy. But collectors have learned that subtle details often hide dramatic stories. It begins with minting errors, the hidden anomalies that transform common coins into collector treasures. During production, dies wear down, misalign, crack, or shift under pressure. Sometimes metal planchets feed incorrectly. Other times, the striking process creates doubling, off-center impressions, or unexpected features that escape quality control. Each mistake becomes a fingerprint of history, proof that something unique happened in the chaotic environment of mass production. One of the most talked about possibilities within the 1979 D series is doubling in the lettering or date. Under magnification, some coins reveal faint secondary impressions, creating a ghost-like shadow effect. To an untrained eye, it might look like wear or damage. But to a seasoned collector, it's a signal worth investigating. Some are microscopic, hiding within the fine details of Lincoln's hair or the edges of the lettering. Others involve die cracks that snake across the coin like lightning bolts frozen in metal. Still others involve variations in strike pressure or alignment that create subtle but highly collectible differences. Imagine the moment when a collector first notices something unusual, a faint doubling on the 9 in 1979, or an odd alignment between the design and the rim. That moment sparks a question. Is this just damage? Or is it something rare? Most 1979 D Lincoln cents are worth only face value. But condition changes everything. Coins graded in top mint state, pristine examples with flawless surfaces and strong original luster, can command surprisingly high premiums compared to circulated coins. Add a recognized mint error or unusual variety, and the value can skyrocket. There have been reports circulating in collector communities of exceptionally rare specimens reaching extraordinary price levels, sometimes discussed in the realm of six figures or more when unique factors align: elite grading, rare errors, or extreme preservation. Stories even mention astonishing theoretical market valuations climbing into the millions, fueled by collector demand, rarity speculation, and auction hype. Collectors chase uniqueness. They chase stories. They chase coins that stand apart from billions of others. When a coin combines rarity, historical intrigue, and perfect preservation, competition begins. And when collectors compete, prices can climb faster than anyone expects. Imagine two coins struck on the same day in 1979. One enters circulation immediately, bouncing from wallet to wallet, gathering scratches and wear. The other somehow avoids circulation, maybe tucked into a roll, saved by chance, or forgotten in a drawer for decades. Years later, that untouched coin emerges, glowing with original mint luster. Suddenly, it's not just a penny anymore. It's a time capsule, because many collectors believe that hidden treasures still exist in everyday circulation. People unknowingly spend valuable coins every day. They drop them into vending machines, cash registers, and tip jars without realizing the potential hiding in plain sight. A coin in average circulated condition might sell for only a small premium, but the same coin in high mint state, graded by a reputable service, could be worth exponentially more. That leap in value creates the tension collectors live for. It's the difference between pocket change and a prize. Collectors describe the process as a treasure hunt without a map. Every roll of coins becomes a mystery. Every penny holds potential. And every moment of inspection carries the possibility of uncovering something extraordinary. In a world where wealth often feels out of reach, the idea that a tiny copper coin could hold significant value sparks hope. It creates a sense of possibility. It invites ordinary people into a story that feels almost magical. Over the years, countless stories have circulated about rare coins discovered in unexpected places, inherited collections, garage sales, or forgotten piggy banks. These stories fuel the belief that hidden gems remain out there, waiting for someone who cares enough to look closely. You're sorting through spare change on a quiet evening. One penny catches your eye. Maybe the color looks slightly different. Maybe the strike appears unusually sharp. You turn it under the light, noticing a subtle doubling on the lettering. Suddenly, curiosity turns into adrenaline, because valuable coins don't wait forever. They get spent, lost, or damaged. The longer they circulate unnoticed, the greater the chance they disappear forever. Every day someone unknowingly spends a coin that could have changed their financial future. As we approach the climax of this story, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. The fascination with coins isn't only about money. It's about connection, to history, to craftsmanship, to the stories hidden in small pieces of metal. Every coin passes through countless hands, silently witnessing decades of life. The 1979 Lincoln cent represents that journey perfectly. Born in a bustling mint, released into circulation during a turbulent era, and now rediscovered by collectors searching for overlooked value. Somewhere right now, a 1979 Lincoln cent sits unnoticed in a drawer, a jar, or a pocket. Maybe it has a rare error. Maybe it's preserved in stunning condition. Maybe it's waiting for the one person curious enough to look closely. The year was 1981, and the United States Mint was standing at the edge of transformation. Copper prices were rising, production costs were shifting, and the humble penny was approaching one of the most significant transitions in its history. To most people, it was just another year in a long line of Lincoln cents. But to collectors and sharp-eyed treasure hunters, 1981 became something else entirely. A crossroads. A year of subtle anomalies, hidden errors, and rare varieties that could slip past unnoticed unless you knew exactly what to look for. The Denver Mint produced millions upon millions of Lincoln cents that year, each stamped with the small but significant D Mint mark. On the surface, nothing about these coins seemed extraordinary. They entered circulation quietly, mixed into everyday transactions, riding in wallets and cash registers across America. But beneath the ordinary appearance, whispers began to circulate within the coin collecting world. Reports of unusual strikes, odd weight differences, subtle doubling that seemed almost invisible to the untrained eye. Tiny imperfections that, when discovered, transformed an ordinary penny into something extraordinary. Pause for a moment and consider this. How many coins have passed through your hands without a second glance? Hundreds? Thousands? What if one of those coins carried a story that collectors would chase for decades? The Lincoln cent has always held a special place in American coinage. First introduced in 1909, it honored Abraham Lincoln, a symbol of resilience and perseverance. By 1981, the design had already lived through generations, surviving wars, economic shifts, and technological changes. Yet, sometimes, the most fascinating chapters in a coin's history come not from grand redesigns but from small, nearly invisible details. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1981 D-Mint Mark Lincoln cent lies in the potential for transitional anomalies. Around this period, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with metal compositions, testing alternatives to reduce costs. While the official composition for 1981 remained primarily copper-based, collectors have long debated whether certain planchet inconsistencies or experimental blanks made their way into circulation. Imagine the implications if a coin were struck on an unintended planchet. Suddenly, the weight, color, and even the sound it makes when dropped could signal a hidden rarity. Error coins have always fascinated collectors because they represent something that was never supposed to exist. A mistake at the mint. A misalignment in machinery. A momentary lapse in quality control that slips past inspectors and enters circulation. These errors are not flaws in the eyes of collectors, they are signatures of rarity. And within the world of the 1981 D Lincoln cent, several types of errors have captured attention. Doubled dies. Off-center strikes. Die cracks that appear like lightning frozen in copper. Repunched mint marks that hint at manual adjustments during production. Each of these errors tells a story about the moment a coin was born. Each one adds a layer of intrigue, transforming the coin from common currency into a historical artifact. Here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. Many of these rare variations look almost identical to regular pennies. Without magnification or careful inspection, they blend seamlessly into ordinary change. That means some of the most valuable coins could still be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone patient enough to discover them. Stories circulate within collecting communities about exceptional specimens reaching staggering market values when preserved in top condition. High-grade coins, especially those with rare error features, can command prices that defy expectations. Some reports claim that pristine examples, combined with unique minting anomalies, have been discussed with valuations reaching as high as $2.7 million in theoretical or speculative markets. Whether every claim withstands scrutiny is another matter entirely, but the idea alone fuels a powerful dream that something so small could hold unimaginable value. Rarity, demand, and condition. A coin becomes valuable not simply because it is old, but because it is scarce in a specific form that collectors desperately want. If only a handful of coins exist with a particular error, and if those coins survive in exceptional condition, the competition among buyers can push prices into astonishing territory. Think about the psychology behind it. Collectors are not just buying metal, they are chasing history, prestige, and the thrill of owning something unique. When a rare coin appears at auction, it becomes more than a transaction. It becomes a moment, a spectacle, a race between determined bidders who refuse to walk away empty-handed. But before you rush to assume every 1981 D penny is a jackpot, there's a reality check that adds another layer of suspense. Most examples are still worth only face value. The difference between an ordinary coin and a potential treasure often comes down to microscopic details. That's why knowledge becomes your most powerful tool. Start with the basics. Look at the mint mark. Is the D sharp and well-defined, or does it show signs of doubling or unusual shape? Examine the lettering of Liberty and the date. Are there shadows or doubled edges suggesting a doubled die? Check the rim for signs of off-center striking. Turn the coin under light and look for unusual texture, die cracks, or anomalies that feel different from typical wear. Condition is another game changer. Coins graded in mint state, meaning they show little to no wear, can command dramatically higher prices. A coin preserved in pristine condition carries the story of survival. It escaped scratches, corrosion, and damage through decades of circulation. That rarity alone can transform value. Picture a collector opening a roll of old pennies and spotting one with brilliant luster, untouched surfaces, and sharp details. That moment of realization, that sudden rush of adrenaline, is what drives people to search tirelessly through jars and boxes of change. Why do so many people between 30 and 65 find themselves drawn to stories like this? Because they represent possibility. The idea that treasure is not locked behind a vault or hidden in a distant land but sitting quietly within reach. The dream of discovery. The belief that patience and curiosity can lead to unexpected rewards. Coin collecting is not just about money. It's about awareness. About slowing down long enough to notice details others overlook. Every rare coin discovery begins with a simple decision: to look closer. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table, pouring out a pile of pennies. At first glance, they all appear identical. But as you begin to inspect each one, the routine becomes almost meditative. The weight of history in your hands. The anticipation that the next coin might be different. That the next coin might change everything. Suddenly, you spot something unusual. The date looks slightly off. The lettering seems doubled. Your heartbeat quickens. Is it real? Could this be one of those elusive era coins collectors talk about? Stories of rare finds spread quickly through online forums and collector communities. One person discovers a rare variation in pocket change. Another finds a high-grade example in an old family collection. Each story adds fuel to the legend, encouraging thousands of others to search. Most people never do. They rush through transactions, toss coins into jars, and forget about them entirely. But collectors know better. They understand that history hides in the smallest details. As the narrative builds toward its climax, consider this: every rare coin discovery begins with someone who refused to ignore curiosity. Someone who decided to examine a coin just a little more carefully than everyone else. Imagine the feeling of sending a coin for professional grading, waiting anxiously for the results. Days pass. Then weeks. Finally, the package arrives. You open it slowly, hands trembling. Inside is confirmation that your coin is something extraordinary. Something rare. Something valuable. And here is the final revelation. The true value of the 1981 D Mint Mark Lincoln cent is not only measured in dollars. It lies in the thrill of possibility, the chase for hidden history, and the reminder that extraordinary discoveries often begin with ordinary objects. But what if that simple coin, the 1980 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, carried a secret history and the potential to be worth far more than 1 cent? What if the very coin you've ignored for decades could be the one collectors are hunting, the one that sparks bidding wars, the one whispered about in collector forums and auction houses? The 1980 Lincoln cent was produced during a fascinating moment in American coinage history. Inflation was rising, copper prices were climbing, and the U.S. Mint was pushing production numbers higher than ever. Millions upon millions of pennies were struck, flooding circulation. To the average person, that sounds like the opposite of rarity. More coins should mean less value. Right? The no mint mark version refers to coins struck in Philadelphia, which traditionally didn't include a mint mark during that era. At first glance, that might sound common. After all, Philadelphia produced enormous quantities. But here's where the mystery deepens. Not all 1980 no mint mark cents are equal. Some carry unique traits that elevate them into a completely different category. Imagine holding 2 pennies that look identical. Same year. Same design. Same copper shine. One is worth 1 cent. The other could command astonishing sums under the right circumstances. The answer lies in the details most people overlook. Collectors have documented varieties involving doubled dies, misaligned strikes, off-center impressions, and subtle planchet inconsistencies. Some of these errors occurred when dies shifted slightly during production. Others happened when planchets weren't positioned perfectly or when the striking pressure varied just enough to create visible anomalies. To a casual observer, these might look like tiny flaws. But to collectors, they're fingerprints of history. Evidence that something went wrong during the minting process. And in the world of coin collecting, wrong often means rare, Now pause for a moment and consider this. How many times have you glanced at a penny and tossed it aside? How many jars of change have been dumped into coin machines without a second look? And how many rare varieties have quietly disappeared back into circulation because no one knew what to search for? That's the suspense behind the 1980 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent. It's not just a coin. It's a puzzle. A treasure hunt disguised as everyday currency. But the real shock comes when you examine market demand. Over the years, collectors have paid significant premiums for high-grade examples, especially those preserved in near-perfect condition. When a coin survives decades without heavy wear, its value can climb dramatically. Combine pristine condition with a rare error or unusual strike characteristic, and suddenly the numbers start to sound unreal. Stories circulate about coins reaching astonishing market values in top condition, with whispers of prices climbing toward the multi-million-dollar range, up to a reported $2.8 million in exceptional scenarios. Whether driven by rarity, hype, or collector competition, these tales fuel a powerful question: could one of those coins still be hiding in plain sight? Because deep down, everyone loves the possibility that wealth could arrive unexpectedly. That the overlooked object in your pocket might hold a secret worth uncovering. But before you imagine instant fortune, understand this: rarity isn't just about age or year. It's about condition, uniqueness, and story. The most valuable examples often share a combination of factors: sharp details, minimal wear, strong luster, and documented errors verified by professional grading services. Collectors often search for doubling in the lettering, especially around Liberty and the date. Some watch for unusual thickness or weight differences that hint at planchet anomalies. Others look for die cracks or cuds, raised lines or blobs created when dies began to fail. Each variation tells a story about the moment the coin was born. Picture a retired worker sorting through an old coin jar inherited from family. A cashier checking change during a slow shift. A hobbyist scanning rolls of pennies just for fun. Again and again, discoveries happen not because someone was a professional numismatist, but because someone was curious enough to look closer. Partly because it represents a perfect storm. Massive production numbers created endless opportunities for minor errors. The economic environment of the era pushed minting operations to high speed, increasing the chance of subtle mistakes slipping through. And the passage of time means fewer high-quality examples remain. The more coins produced, the more potential for unique variations. But as decades pass, circulation damage reduces the number of pristine survivors. That shrinking pool drives collector demand higher. Imagine two collectors locked in competition. Each wants the best example known. Each sees it as a missing piece of their collection. Suddenly, bids escalate beyond expectations. Headlines emerge. Stories spread. And the legend of a humble penny reaching incredible values becomes part of collector lore. Is every 1980 no-mint Mark penny worth millions? Of course not. But the possibility that one could be extraordinary transforms the search into something addictive. Think about how often pennies are ignored. They're left in tip jars, dropped between couch cushions, forgotten in glove compartments. The very fact that people dismiss them increases the chance that rare examples remain undiscovered. Now imagine checking your own coins with fresh eyes. Tilting them under light. Examining the lettering. Looking for doubling, unusual shapes, or anything that feels slightly off. That moment of realization, when something doesn't look ordinary, could change everything. But the journey doesn't end with discovery. Authentication becomes the next chapter. Professional grading services evaluate coins under magnification, assigning grades that reflect condition and verifying authenticity. A single point difference in grade can mean the difference between a modest premium and a staggering valuation, because coins that survive in exceptional condition often do so by accident. Maybe they were saved in a drawer. Maybe they were part of a childhood collection. Maybe someone simply forgot about them. There's also a psychological thrill driving the fascination with coins like the 1980 Lincoln cent. It's not just about money. It's about discovery. The idea that knowledge and attention can reveal hidden value where others see none. It's a reminder that treasures don't always come from distant lands or secret vaults. Sometimes they come from everyday life. Imagine waking up tomorrow and deciding to check your spare change. You pull out a handful of pennies, expecting nothing. One catches your eye. The details look unusually sharp. The surface gleams differently. The letters appear slightly doubled. You feel a flicker of curiosity. This is where inspiration meets urgency. Because every day, coins move through circulation, are spent, lost, or damaged. Opportunities fade when curiosity doesn't act. The difference between someone who discovers a rare coin and someone who doesn't is often just a moment of attention. As the story reaches its climax, remember this: the power of rarity lies not only in the object itself, but in the awareness of the person holding it. Knowledge turns a penny into a possibility. Somewhere, someone will discover another remarkable example. Another coin that surprises the market. Another story that inspires millions to search their change. We're diving into the mysterious world of the 1981 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, a coin that has sparked curiosity, debate, and excitement among collectors who believe hidden gems are still waiting to be found. At first glance, the 1981 Lincoln penny doesn't seem special. It looks familiar, common, even forgettable. Abraham Lincoln's profile face is right, just like millions of other pennies minted throughout the 20th century. The copper color shines with a warm glow, but nothing screams rarity or wealth. And that's exactly what makes this story so fascinating. Because sometimes, the most extraordinary value hides behind the most ordinary appearance. Let's rewind for a moment. The year is 1981. America is changing. Technology is evolving. And deep inside the United States Mint, billions of pennies are being produced to meet the demands of everyday commerce. Among these coins, some were struck without a mint mark, meaning they were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time often released coins without identifying letters. To the average person, a missing mint mark might seem meaningless. But in the world of coin collecting, small details can mean everything. The answer lies in subtle differences, hidden varieties, and rare errors that can transform a simple coin into a collector's dream. The 1981 Lincoln cent exists in multiple compositions and die variations, including copper versions that were minted before the historic switch to zinc in 1982. These copper coins already carry a certain nostalgia, representing the final era before the composition changed forever. But what truly drives excitement are the elusive era coins, the ones that slipped through quality control and made their way into circulation. A collector examining a roll of pennies late at night under a desk lamp. One coin catches the light differently. Maybe the lettering appears doubled. Maybe Lincoln's portrait shows unusual features. Maybe the strike looks slightly off-center, or the surface reveals an unexpected anomaly. Suddenly, what seemed like an ordinary penny becomes a potential jackpot. And here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. Some high-grade examples of rare varieties or era coins have reportedly reached astonishing market values, figures that climb far beyond face value, sometimes reaching tens of thousands, even rumored six-figure territory under exceptional circumstances. Stories circulate about coins graded at the highest levels achieving staggering auction prices. These tales ignite hope. Could a coin worth 1 cent truly hold the potential for life-changing money? Rarity is not always about how many coins were minted. Billions of pennies were produced in 1981, but only a tiny fraction exhibit the unique features collectors crave. Errors like doubled dies, repunched elements, or striking anomalies are incredibly scarce because most coins were produced correctly. Finding one is like discovering a needle in a haystack. Condition is equally important. Coin grading uses a strict scale, and collectors pay premium prices for coins in pristine, uncirculated condition. A penny that has never been used in commerce, free from scratches and wear, can command dramatically higher prices than one that has passed through thousands of hands. The difference between a lightly circulated coin and a flawless mint-state example can be the difference between pocket change and a serious collector's investment. Then there's demand, the emotional engine driving the market. When collectors compete for a specific variety, prices can skyrocket. One rare error discovered at the right moment, authenticated by experts, and offered at auction can ignite bidding wars that push values higher than anyone expected. But here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night: many valuable coins are still undiscovered. They are hiding in jars, piggy banks, dresser drawers, and forgotten coin collections across the country. Some may have been spent unknowingly at grocery stores, dropped into vending machines, or tucked away in change jars decades ago. The possibility that rare treasures remain hidden fuels a powerful sense of urgency. Imagine this scenario. A retired couple sorting through old belongings discovers a box of coins collected over years of travel and daily life. Inside, a small stack of 1981 pennies sits unnoticed. One coin looks brighter, sharper, almost untouched by time. Could it be an uncirculated example? Could it carry a rare variety? The only way to know is to look closer, and that moment of curiosity is where the adventure begins. Collectors often talk about the thrill of the hunt. It's not just about money, it's about discovery. The moment you realize that history is literally in your hands. Every coin carries a story: where it was minted, how it was struck, and the journey it took before reaching you. Let's explore some of the hidden details experts examine when evaluating a 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent. First, the strike quality. Does Lincoln's hair show crisp lines? Are the letters sharp and fully formed? Weak strikes can lower value, while strong, detailed strikes increase desirability. Next, the luster. Original mint luster reflects light in a unique way, creating a cartwheel effect when tilted under illumination. Coins with preserved luster often achieve higher grades. Then come the potential errors, the true wild cards. Double die varieties can cause letters or numbers to appear slightly doubled, as if shadowed. Off-center strikes occur when the blank planchet isn't perfectly aligned during minting. Die cracks, cuds, or unusual textures can also signal a collectible anomaly. Each of these features transforms the coin from ordinary to extraordinary. And here's a question worth asking. How many people unknowingly spend valuable coins every day because they never learned what to look for? The answer is probably more than we imagine. Coin collecting isn't just for experts or historians. It's for anyone willing to pay attention to detail. The suspense deepens when we consider the psychological side of coin hunting. Humans are wired to search for patterns and hidden meaning. The idea that wealth could be hiding in plain sight taps into something primal, the dream of discovery, the thrill of beating the odds. It's the same excitement that drives treasure hunters, antique collectors, and explorers. But let's add another layer to this story. Some collectors believe that certain high-grade 1981 Lincoln cents without mint marks remain undervalued compared to earlier copper pennies. As grading standards evolve and interest in vintage coins grows, prices can shift dramatically. A coin dismissed today might become tomorrow's headline sale. That uncertainty creates a sense of urgency. What if the coin you ignore today becomes tomorrow's treasure? Consider the journey of a single penny. Minted decades ago, exchanged countless times, carried in pockets, dropped on sidewalks, maybe even lost and found again. Now imagine that same coin resting quietly in your hand, waiting for someone to recognize its potential. The difference between an overlooked object and a prized collectible often comes down to awareness. Collectors often share stories of surprising finds, coins discovered in inherited collections, rolls purchased from banks, or loose change found during routine errands. These real-world stories reinforce one powerful message: you don't need to be wealthy to start searching. You just need curiosity. First, slow down and really look at your coins. Examine dates carefully. Notice the absence or presence of mint marks. Compare coins side by side. Even subtle differences can signal something special. Use magnification if possible. Train your eye to spot anomalies. The more you look, the more patterns you begin to see. Let's pause for a second and ask a bold question. What if the true value of the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just measured in dollars, but in the sense of adventure it brings? Every coin represents a chance to reconnect with history, to explore hidden details, and to experience the thrill of discovery in everyday life. As our journey reaches its climax, imagine standing at your kitchen table, spreading out coins from years of accumulated change. Each one tells a story. Some may remain ordinary, but one could stand apart, brighter, sharper, different. The moment you recognize that difference, your perspective changes forever. Suddenly, the idea that rare coins are hiding in plain sight doesn't feel like a myth. It feels like a possibility waiting to be realized. Today's story begins with a coin millions of Americans have handled without realizing its hidden potential. The 1998 D Mint Mark Lincoln Cent. A coin struck in Denver, produced by the millions, and designed to blend into everyday circulation. Yet beneath its ordinary appearance lies a mystery that has shocked collectors, sparked heated debates, and fueled stories of astonishing market value reaching as high as $2.2 million in pristine condition. Picture this. It's a typical day. You're paying for coffee, digging through spare change, and among the copper-colored pieces sits a 1998 penny with a tiny D beneath the date. Nothing unusual at first glance. But to trained eyes, this small detail can mean everything. Because not all 1998 D Lincoln cents are created equal. Some carry hidden errors, microscopic variations, and production anomalies that transform them from pocket change into treasure. In 1998, the Denver Mint was producing Lincoln cents at a rapid pace to meet national demand. High-speed presses, metal planchets feeding into machines, dies striking coins with relentless precision. But even the most advanced systems are not immune to imperfections. In fact, it's often during periods of heavy production that mistakes happen. Among the most talked about variations linked to the 1998 D Lincoln cent is a subtle but powerful error that many people overlook. It's not flashy. It doesn't jump out immediately. Instead, it hides in plain sight, waiting for someone patient enough to look closely. Imagine examining the lettering, the spacing, the fine details near the designer's initials. Suddenly, something seems off. A doubling effect. A shift in alignment. A feature that shouldn't be there, yet is. These tiny anomalies create a phenomenon known as die variety errors. And when such an error becomes rare enough, collectors begin to compete for ownership. But here's where the story takes a surprising twist. Many of these valuable error coins were not discovered by professional dealers or expert numismatists. They were found by everyday people. Cashiers. Retirees. Hobbyists sorting through rolls of coins at their kitchen tables. People just like you. Most people assume that only ancient coins hold value. Gold coins. Silver dollars from centuries past. But the reality is far more thrilling. Modern coins, especially those from the late 20th century, are increasingly attracting attention because they exist in huge numbers, which means rare errors can hide anywhere. Collectors began noticing unusual features years after the coin entered circulation. Forums buzzed with discussions. Experts examined specimens under magnification. Some dismissed the claims as exaggeration. Others believed a new treasure had been discovered. Reports of high-grade examples commanding extraordinary prices started circulating among collectors. Auction houses saw increasing interest. Suddenly, a coin once ignored began appearing in conversations alongside some of the most desirable modern cents ever produced. A worn coin may be worth only face value. But a pristine example, free of scratches, with strong luster and perfect detail, can command staggering premiums. When rarity and condition collide, the results can be explosive. Now imagine the psychology behind this phenomenon. Millions of Americans dream of discovering hidden treasure without needing to invest huge amounts of money. The idea that a coin already in circulation could transform your financial future feels almost magical. Yet history shows that it has happened before. Some collectors believe so. They argue that modern coins with notable errors and extremely high-grade preservation could achieve record-breaking valuations as demand grows and supply shrinks. Others remain skeptical, warning that hype can sometimes outpace reality. Think about the journey of a coin. It travels through countless hands, across states, through vending machines, cash registers, and piggy banks. It survives years of wear, sometimes escaping damage by sheer luck. Each step reduces the number of pristine examples still available. Now let's dive deeper into the hidden errors that make the 1998 D Lincoln cent so intriguing. Under magnification, certain varieties show doubling effects that appear almost like shadows beneath the letters. Some exhibit unusual spacing or alignment that indicates die preparation issues during minting. Others reveal subtle design anomalies that only experienced eyes recognize. To the untrained observer, these differences might seem insignificant. But to collectors, they are clues, evidence that a coin belongs to a rare subset. But here's the twist that surprises many newcomers. Finding a valuable coin isn't always about luck alone. It's about knowing where to look and what to look for. Examine the lettering closely. Use a magnifying glass or even your phone's camera zoom. Pay attention to doubling, unusual shapes, or details that appear slightly off. Stories circulate about individuals who searched through thousands of coins before finding a valuable variety. Some describe the experience as addictive, like a treasure hunt hiding in plain sight. Every penny becomes a mystery waiting to be solved. These steps transform a hopeful find into a recognized collectible. Professional grading services evaluate the coin's condition and authenticity, assigning a grade that significantly impacts its market value. High grades can elevate a coin's worth dramatically, especially when combined with known error varieties. One reason is accessibility. Unlike ancient treasures locked away in museums, modern coins exist everywhere. They connect the dream of wealth to everyday life. They invite ordinary people into a world once dominated by specialists. As the story of the 1998 Lincoln cent continues to evolve, debates rage among collectors. Is it truly capable of reaching million-dollar valuations under the right circumstances? Or are such claims exaggerated legends born from excitement and speculation? But here's what remains undeniable: coins with unique errors and exceptional preservation have shattered expectations before. Records have been broken. Prices have stunned even seasoned experts. Imagine hearing years later that a coin you once owned sold for an extraordinary sum. That realization alone is enough to inspire action. Maybe you already have jars of coins stored away. Maybe you receive pennies as change every day without noticing them. Maybe the next time you look closely, you'll see something different. A detail others missed. A clue that turns curiosity into discovery. The 1998 Lincoln cent isn't just a coin. It's a reminder that value often hides where nobody bothers to look. It challenges assumptions about what is ordinary and what is extraordinary. It transforms the act of checking your change into a moment filled with anticipation. You're sifting through a dusty old jar of change, the kind you've had sitting in the corner for years, and you stumble across a coin that doesn't just sit in your pocket, it could rewrite your financial destiny. What if I told you that coin could be worth millions of dollars, all because of a hidden mistake most collectors have no idea even exists? It sounds like something out of a dream, but for a very lucky few, this is reality. And today, we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing, jaw-dropping coins you might ever come across, the 2001 Mint Mark Lincoln cent. At first glance, it looks ordinary. Copper-colored, small, familiar. Abraham Lincoln's profile stares back at you like he does on every other penny you've ever seen. But appearances are deceiving. Beneath its simple exterior, this coin hides errors so rare that collectors are practically salivating at the thought of owning one. Errors that, if spotted, could instantly catapult an everyday penny into the stratosphere of numismatic wealth. You might be asking yourself, how can a coin from 2001, less than 25 years old, be worth millions? Isn't that just something that happens with coins from the 1800s or early 1900s? That's what most people think. And that's exactly why the 2001 Lincoln cent is a modern coin that could make you incredibly rich if you know what to look for. What hidden features have turned ordinary coins into legendary treasures? Let's start with the errors, because in the world of rare coins, mistakes are money. And the 2001 cent is full of them. Collectors have reported a range of errors, from double dies on the obverse, where Lincoln's face or the lettering appears slightly duplicated, to off-center strikes, where part of the design is literally cut off by the rim. Imagine that, a coin where Lincoln's nose or the date is slightly askew, not a flaw, but a rare misprint that the U.S. Mint didn't intend. And then there's the ultra-rare die cracks, tiny fractures that run across the coin's surface like lightning bolts frozen in copper. These cracks are tiny, almost invisible to the untrained eye, but for experts, they are priceless identifiers of scarcity. Some of these coins are so rare that only a handful exist in pristine, uncirculated condition. This is where the story gets even more incredible. A 2001D Lincoln cent in circulation? It might be worth $1, maybe $2. But one in perfect, mint state condition, with its error clearly visible and untouched by human hands? That same coin could fetch millions of dollars. Yes, millions. Reports show market sales reaching as high as $2.3 million for top-condition specimens. That's not a typo. A coin you might find in a change jar could literally make someone a millionaire overnight. You might be thinking, surely these sales are rare, one-off flukes. But the reality is more fascinating and more thrilling. Experts and collectors across the United States have documented multiple instances where the 2001D era coins have sold for six-figure sums, sometimes surpassing $1 million. In some cases, private collectors have offered eye-popping amounts, knowing that owning such a coin isn't just about money, it's about prestige, rarity, and owning a tangible piece of numismatic history that will never be replicated. Now, let's talk about why this coin became such a sensation. The U.S. Mint produces billions of pennies every year, but only a tiny fraction ever bear an error significant enough to attract collectors. For the 2001D cent, several factors converged: a misalignment in the die, slight variations in striking pressure, and sheer chance created coins that were anomalies in the best possible way. Combine that with the fact that these coins are modern, relatively easy for casual collectors to find, and you have a perfect storm, a coin that is rare, valuable, and still accessible to the everyday person. But here's where it gets even more suspenseful. Not all 2001D cents are created equal. Many coins may show subtle imperfections, but the real million-dollar coins are the ones with specific, well-documented errors, verified by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Without this certification, even the rarest misprint could be dismissed as ordinary. That's why knowledge is power, and why millions of dollars are waiting for those who know exactly what to look for. The truth is, nobody knows for sure. Estimates suggest fewer than a dozen exist in perfect mint condition with the most sought-after errors. That means the next coin you hold in your hand could very well be one of the few left in existence. And if it is, you could be holding the key to unimaginable wealth. Now, imagine the stories behind these coins. Some were found by lucky teenagers checking their allowances. Others surfaced in change jars during routine trips to the store. A few were discovered tucked away in old coin collections, forgotten for decades, only to resurface and shock their owners with multi-million-dollar valuations. The excitement isn't just in the numbers, it's in the thrill of discovery, the rush of realizing that something ordinary has extraordinary potential. Here's a detail that's both shocking and inspiring. The 2001D Lincoln cent has been compared to the most iconic rare pennies in history, including the 1943 copper penny and the 1955 double die. That's right, modern errors, carefully preserved, can rival some of the most legendary coins ever minted in the US. And unlike those older coins, the 2001D is still within reach. It's a reminder that fortune isn't just a thing of the past. It can be in your pocket today. Not every penny you see from 2001D is a goldmine. Many are perfectly normal, everyday coins. The key is knowing what to search for: the double die impressions, the off-center strikes, the die cracks, the subtle misalignments in the lettering. And patience. The true collector's skill lies in examining thousands of coins, spotting the tiniest variations, and recognizing the one coin that could change everything. Some of the coins that have sold for millions weren't even fully recognized at first. Early buyers noticed something unusual but didn't realize its full value until graded and authenticated. That means the next million-dollar find could be hiding in your pocket, your drawer, or your change jar, waiting for someone sharp enough to notice it. If you're someone who dreams of sudden wealth, who fantasizes about discovering a coin that could literally transform your life, the 2001D Lincoln cent is your modern-day treasure map. It's a coin that combines history, error, rarity, and sheer audacity, a coin that reminds us all that sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises, and the suspense doesn't stop there. Imagine the moment you take a 2001D cent to a professional grading company. You watch as they inspect it, magnifying glass in hand, turning it this way and that. And then, the nod, the official seal, the certification. Suddenly, that ordinary penny is no longer just copper and zinc. It's a multi-million-dollar asset, a conversation piece, a legend in the coin-collecting world. And it all began with one simple coin in your hand, one that most people would overlook. It's a story that blends hope, strategy, and excitement. It's proof that wealth can sometimes be found in the most unlikely places. And it's a challenge. How many 2001 Lincoln cents are sitting unnoticed right now, just waiting for someone like you to discover them? How many people are living with a fortune in their pockets, completely unaware of its true value? If there's one lesson here, it's this: never underestimate the coins you hold. Never dismiss the small, the ordinary, the everyday. Because sometimes, the most unassuming penny in the jar could be your golden ticket. And in the case of the 2001 Lincoln cent, that ticket isn't just worth thousands or tens of thousands, it could be worth millions. But for collectors and coin experts, the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just any coin. It's a rare treasure, a tiny piece of metal with a story so remarkable that it has shaken the coin-collecting world to its core. And today, we're diving deep into the secrets, errors, and jaw-dropping values of this extraordinary penny. The year 1991 might not immediately ring bells for most Americans. We think of it as a time before smartphones dominated our lives, when pocket change was more than just a habit, it was everyday currency. And within that everyday change, hidden in the vast millions of pennies minted that year, there exists a coin so rare, so anomalous, that it has become the holy grail for collectors. The key? The absence of a mint mark. You see, in 1991, pennies were produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The Philadelphia coins typically carried no mint mark, while Denver coins were marked with a small d. Most coins were exactly what they appeared to be: common, circulated, and of little interest to serious collectors. But a tiny number of 1991 pennies, struck at Philadelphia, slipped through the minting process with subtle errors. These errors, sometimes as minor as a double die impression or an off-center strike, instantly elevate a coin from everyday currency to a collector's dream. These aren't idle questions for collectors, they are very real possibilities. And the story gets even more fascinating when you understand how rare these errors are. Experts estimate that only a handful of 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln cents with the most significant errors exist today. Some reports suggest fewer than 50 examples have been documented, and only a fraction of those are in top, pristine condition. After all, we see old pennies every day. The answer lies in a combination of scarcity, historical significance, and those subtle minting anomalies that catch a collector's eye. The most coveted versions of this penny exhibit errors like die doubling, which creates a shadowed or doubled appearance on Lincoln's profile or the lettering. Some coins even show die cracks or off-center strikes, anomalies that are incredibly rare. These mistakes, rather than devaluing the coin, make it more desirable and exponentially more valuable. A regular circulated 1991 penny is worth exactly 1 cent. But a pristine, error-free no-mint mark penny in top condition? That same coin could fetch anywhere from $1 million to a staggering $2.4 million in today's collector market. Yes, you heard that right, millions of dollars for a coin that most of us treat as loose change. Imagine what that could do for your life. One coin, sitting quietly in your collection, could suddenly turn into a fortune. And collectors aren't just dreaming about it, they are paying top dollar. Auction records show multiple sales reaching into the millions, each transaction leaving the coin world buzzing with disbelief and awe. Here's where it gets even more intriguing. The rarity of these pennies isn't just about the errors, they're also about survival. Many of these coins were never intended to be collectibles. Most were used in everyday transactions, jostling through pockets, purses, and cash registers. And in the decades since 1991, countless pennies have been lost, melted down, or damaged beyond recognition. That makes the few remaining examples, especially those in near-perfect mint condition, almost priceless. Each coin that survives is not just rare, it's a survivor, a testament to history, and a tangible connection to the past. Now, let's talk about the thrill of discovery. Picture a family member handing you a jar of old coins. You sift through them, one by one, until a small copper disc catches your eye. Something about it seems off. Maybe the detail is sharper, the lines crisper, or perhaps there's a faint doubling on the letters. Could it be the 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent? Suddenly, your heart races, your palms sweat, and you realize that in your hands may be a coin worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. That's the power of rarity, and the magic of the 1991 penny. Collectors often describe moments like this as surreal. Some have stumbled upon these coins in the most mundane places, pockets, drawers, or jars of mixed coins. Others inherit them without even knowing the value until a savvy collector or professional grader identifies the anomaly. And here's the kicker: many of these coins, once sold, have shattered expectations at auction. One example sold privately for over $2 million, and it's believed that even higher values are possible for coins in flawless, top-graded condition. But the story doesn't stop at numbers. The 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent is also a narrative of human ambition, curiosity, and the thrill of the hunt. Imagine walking into a coin shop, scanning shelves of ordinary pennies, and then, like a lightning bolt, you spot it. The coin that collectors dream about. That's the adrenaline, the excitement, and yes, the life-changing potential of this rare find. And it's this blend of history, error, and scarcity that makes this penny more than just metal. It's a legend in the numismatic world. You might be wondering, how can one tell a genuine 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent from a regular penny? It's not easy, and this is where expertise comes into play. Experts use magnification tools to examine die markings, letter doubling, and strike quality. Even the tiniest imperfection can signal a coin's rarity. And with coins valued in the millions, authenticity is everything. There's no room for guesswork or approximation. Each penny must be meticulously graded and verified, often by leading numismatic authorities, before it reaches the auction block or private sale. Now, let's take a moment to consider the psychological allure of rare coins. Why do millions of people obsess over pennies, dimes, and nickels when most could be worth just a few cents? The answer is simple: hope. The hope that you might stumble upon something extraordinary, something that turns your ordinary world into one of wealth and opportunity. The 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent embodies that hope. It's tangible proof that fortune can appear in the most unexpected places. And for those willing to search, study, and persist, it's an invitation to become part of a story far larger than themselves, a story of discovery, history, and unbelievable reward. There are only a few dozen of these coins in existence, each with its own journey, its own story. Some were kept in pristine condition from the moment they were struck, tucked away in protective sleeves or coin holders. Others survived decades in circulation, emerging as if by miracle, bearing the marks of time but still holding immense value. Each coin sold sets a new benchmark, a new level of aspiration for collectors worldwide. And each sale sends ripples of excitement through the coin collecting community, reinforcing the legend of the 1991 penny. Here's a question for you: what if the coin sitting unnoticed in your jar of pennies is one of these rare survivors? What if your everyday change contains the key to a fortune that could reshape your life? The truth is, it's possible. And the fact that so few people recognize the signs makes the opportunity even more tantalizing. Collectors who understand the subtle cues, the way the letters double, the slight misalignment of the strike, the clarity of Lincoln's profile, can turn an ordinary moment into extraordinary fortune. As we reach the climax of this story, the 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent emerges not just as a coin, but as a symbol. A symbol of vigilance, of curiosity, and of the extraordinary hiding within the ordinary. It reminds us that sometimes, the greatest treasures are not in gold or gemstones, but in the small, overlooked objects around us. And it teaches a timeless lesson: fortune favors the observant, the persistent, and those who dare to look closer.